Hey,
Yes,
Kaushal.
Shankar. How are you, man?
I'm okay, Kaushal. Of course, we all understand banking. We all have been to banks and everything, but we also have a whole bunch of financial activities, that, we all engage in, including mortgages, loans, brokerage, card services. But it is not always that we have all of them at a same bank. So it's a multitude of banks and so on and so forth. So with all of that, what do you see as the evolution of banking from what we know traditionally to what it needs to be in the future?
Exactly. And my response would be, you are absolutely correct, Shankar. We still consider banking as, a primary money deposit, withdrawal, ATM type of a transaction. Versus what do we use our money is to do different type of financial activities and brokerage, loans, mortgage. We go to the car dealer, we may end up getting a car loan from them, even though we have a bank who could have given that. So
Yeah.
banks are not as much connected with us in at the activities when we need them to be connected. So in lieu of that, what is happening today is there are new startups which are coming up. We call them fintechs, who could come up with a experience which is connected with 5 different banks and 3 different financial organizations and provide us some lending capabilities. Aren't bank lacking this functionality? They seem to be catching up, but this is really the area of opportunity where a connected ecosystem needs to be built, and banks need to take a lead in ensuring they look at not customer coming to their banks, but really being present when the customer needs. And
So,
that's
so then,
really how we
Kaushal, yeah. So then, what I'll say then is, yeah. So, Kaushal, what you're really saying is the banks need to be a one-stop shop. To a large extent, that's been an idea. From an implementation perspective, it hasn't happened, and I'm sure there are a multitude of reasons for that. Which takes us to the next question. Go ahead.
yeah,
Right. So,
right.
so clearly, this is more from the standpoint of, you said, they all need to be connected. I said, it's a one-stop shop. One-stop shop doesn't happen automatically. It does require that connection. And, what's happening out there in the application technology today with enterprise systems is API enablement. There's a lot going on there. So how do you see, APIs and other interfaces becoming a part of this ecosystem so banks can provide value-added services? What do you see as the opportunity here?
Yeah, so that's a great question. One of the simplest things bank can do is be transparent, be available where and at what portal I am. If, for example, I'm transferring money from account A to account B, and I want to trace that money just like a FedEx shipment, I should be able to do that. Not at all points am I able to do that today. There are capabilities from Swift and other organizations where you can see if the money is going from, say, United States to India, it is traveling via Europe, and we don't know when the money reaches and when the person on the receiving end can collect it. This is what customer wants to know. The banks are making it secure and customer is comfortable with that, but we need to open that banking scenarios where the apps at different bankings, the apps that the customers are using should be able to know a lot more than what they are knowing today. They shouldn't be told to go to 5 different portals to find out what is happening with their finances.
So that goes to the heart of, what you're saying, right? It is not about having five discrete transactions, but a seamless experience where, a customer is able to accomplish a multitude of goals
Mhm.
very easily through a series of steps which are smoothly orchestrated, for lack of a better word, right?
Exactly. I mean, imagine, somebody wanting to do my credit check or bank account check before, doing a transaction with me. Today, I have to do so much paperwork, just getting a loan, just getting a mortgage. There are some mortgage companies who have connected with the banks through APIs, but not everyone. So how do we make this a de facto that, you are going for a car loan or a home loan? There should be an easy way or an API conversation that happens, and all these connected pieces, whether it's my credit check with the credit bureaus, whether it's my bank check and my car related activities or home, everything should really mean,
together.
ultimately finance and not just banking.
Understood. Really enabling that machine to machine communication so
Exactly.
that, it ends up becoming one holistic experience, right? So obviously, I think, we have now kind of, established the problem at a high level. So we agree that, this needs to be one seamless experience. Then, what exactly a customer is looking for. I mean, nominally listening to you, it seems to be not that complicated, right? You should be able to get this done, but the reality is not getting done. So, so how is this supposed to evolve as a solution? How is the industry dealing with it? And how is the technology an enabler for all of this to happen, Kaushal?
Yeah. So, this is this is a complex part of this when we look at this opportunity. And the reason I say complex is, if you want to give a simple solution, you have to start simplifying the complexity that you are dealing with, which is,
That's
what am I as a consumer wanting? I as a consumer want to make sure that my bank is connected to my mortgage lender. I, as a consumer, want to even get my bank to be my mortgage lender. Why should I go to three different mortgage lenders? I don't want to wait for an offer or a deal coming through my mails or even emails. I want my bank to really be my one stop shop if possible. And what, haven't you seen, Shankar, that the rates that your bank offer are not that different from other banks? It's
so
just
very
that somebody else called you before your
absolutely,
bank called you,
absolutely. That is correct. Yeah.
right? So, identifying customer needs, and this is where the AI part will come. And we talk a lot of AI, but how can the banking really take advantage of not losing business of their existing customers? So you may be a customer of Bank of America for 15 years, but you are still doing financial transactions with four different parties and not with Bank of America, who are really competing with your bank. So bank, even though you are a loyal customer, could not keep you with them for majority of your needs.
Wow. No, no. So then, practically speaking, then let's dig deeper into this, right? I mean, I mean, no quibble here. We really want the banks to own the entire customer experience. But what are they doing? I know you talked about using artificial intelligence, but it occurs to me even before then, as we talked about, through basic interconnectivity, interoperability, API enablement, there seems to be a lot of progress that can be made. So from your standpoint, does the industry get it? Is that something that needs to be broadcast in a much more clearer terms to the industry? So what's your thought process regarding there in terms of where technology stands today to enable this integrated experience?
And see, that's where the challenge is. So today, some of the banks are pretty advanced in that. So they are connected with, say, Ubers of the world. They are connected. They are going to offer you, okay, here is your Uber discount because you are a member of our bank. Here is your, you go to Olive Garden, and this is because you're a Bank of America customer, you get X% off. Take this and show it to them. But they have not gotten to a point where they'll say, if go to this car dealer, this is the car finance you will get. So that kind of predictive analytics is not happening. What is not happening is my
So,
bank
so,
is not
so, yeah.
knowing that my
Ah,
daughter is going to the college. Now, the student loan, I can tell you my personal experience. Last year, my daughter went to college. My banks were not the ones who sent me the first notifications that, Kaushal, we are preparing you for your college expenses.
absolutely. So what you're really saying is the bank should be really interested in the evolution of a customer's needs and life in general, right?
Exactly.
Be very context sensitive, accordingly hoist a need, but then also be prepared to provide the right solution through their systems, through API connectivity and so on and so forth. I mean, that's
So
that's what I'm hearing, right?
exactly, because think about it. In 20 years ago, you were going much frequently to the bank. The banks have four offices in most cases. One is, of course, teller, who will do the cash related deals. But then there is a financial advisor, there is a home mortgage office, there is a financial. But if we people are not going to the banks, and Shankar, I don't think our kids are going to go to the bank.
That's true. I mean, they're not going now, I can tell you.
Right? So the banks will have to go beyond basic banking of depositing and withdrawing. and ATMs. They will have to have this connectivity. The four offices that they have for mortgage, for cars, for loans, for other needs of customer, they will have to provide that with intelligence. They can't, because over there you are standing in a line and somebody is coming and asking, so how can I help you? Do you have a credit card with us? Do you have a mortgage? How are you going to approach it? And that is where your AI and intelligence need to happen for to
Yeah,
make sure
understood.
ahead
Understood.
of time.
So, yeah, and that's where the emphasis is, right? I mean, it's really, it's really beyond the basic banking, blocking and tackling. It's more about looking at it from a customer's, evolving needs, and then
Exactly.
banking becomes a means to an end. All right. So then, as we, talked about these, needs in terms of, uh, a banking institution providing these capabilities. Now, as we talk about this whole concept of open finance, first of all, can you help define this for our audience here today, and as to how that becomes a next step, and what we've just discussed is open banking, and then where do you see it go? What are the challenges? And I think it'll be very helpful for people to understand this conceptually as well as tactically.
Sure, sure. No, I think that's here is what we have done so far. We have talked and understood open banking, not just on this conversation, but overall, general public do understand. Customers are kind of understanding that now my banks are connected, or at least are open to be
Yeah.
connected. Just by banks being open is not going to cut it, which is what we talked in the last few minutes. Because it's about financial operations, and I may not be doing all my financial transactions through one bank or through one organization or one institution. And that's where the open finance piece comes. And what it really does is it takes the open banking and applies to the areas that we said, mortgage, the car
I see
industry,
what you're saying. Yeah.
the schools. I mean, how many trillions of student loans are going on, and the banking and the colleges and how they are connected. So open finance need to have an ecosystem where it is still customer focused, it is personalized. The most important thing that we need to do is not just that I have an API and feel free to connect me, but all of the financial activities that I do are now ready to be interconnected, because I am the one identity that I share. And if I can share that identity, I will be served better.
No, no, then how how true that is, right? Because for us, when we think about a bank, we just really see it as a place where you go put some money and take some money back when you need it. But then, in reality, in our life, what we deal with is finance, right? By way of various needs and all. So really, I think, we are looking at banks now to make it that simple for customers so that, their financial needs beyond banking, be it loans, mortgages, whatever else it is, right? Credit card payments, all of them, they come under this one common open finance umbrella. And when you say open, I also believe what you're implying is what you require is an open system with very usable APIs that can be integrated so that technology doesn't become a roadblock, as well as standards and so on and so forth. Right?
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, think about today, our brokerage accounts are completely disconnected with our banking and other activities.
Yeah.
So, and our 401k is completely another piece. But when you put your, uh, when you do a setup of your 401k, they ask you questions which are really open finance questions, which is how much assets do you have? What kind of real estate investments you have? What kind of returns are you going to get? And then the 401k or your retirement portals will tell you how much you need to contribute. Now, if they are doing this by you inputting, why can't they be smart enough? Why can't they be connected? And why can't this be your financial, connected experience? I mean, this is the conversation part that we have been talking. We got to move out of transaction. I transact money, then I transact on my loans, then I transact on my brokerage, then I transact on my 401k, then I transact on my student loan. And that needs to be a conversation that ultimately the pot of money is the same. My
Yeah.
income is coming to one pot.
Understood. So then talking about what next, right? So uh, I see, a Um, Really, this is both a business problem as well as a technical problem, right?
Yeah,
On one hand, it's really customer journey mapping on an ongoing basis.
yeah,
A
absolutely.
customer going through, various life cycle needs that being tracked, understood, and then, from a technical level, enabling it through standards, APIs, implementations, so on and so forth. So with this, all this, implementation, integration, so on and so forth. So what are you up to, Mr. Shah? So what do you, how do you see this coming together?
For me, I want my daughters to be told that they are spending more than what they are making.
That's
It
fantastic.
first starts there. I mean, financial health and awareness of a personal financial health is extremely important. I think uh, our kids, they, as much as they will be busy with what they do, uh, they are going to be a generation who don't want to be bothering about it and want some kind of ready-made stuff, right? Said, okay, duh, why did you not tell me this before? I mean, that's
Yeah,
what happens when you are engaged in a conversation. So
yeah.
I think the banks and the financial institutions, first thing is they need to be prepared. So how personalized experience you give, how much connected experiences you give, how much, uh, how many options are you providing to the customers? It
Correct.
shouldn't be leave it, okay, I'm offering you 2.9%, take it or leave it. There should be a multitude of options, whether it's my student loan or my car loans,
Understood.
and the impact of it. Also, I want somebody to advise me when I'm going way overboard in my spending, that this is where, and even what am I spending on. So for example, restaurants bills, if I'm going overboard on that, I wouldn't mind somebody telling me, over last 6 months you have gone 30% more on restaurant. Shankar, don't you do that for Radiant? I mean, wouldn't you want to watch that?
Oh, absolutely, right. That kind of advisory and, is something that you would greatly appreciate, right? So, yeah, no, I think, point well taken. So this is really where, banks, no longer need to be these, nuclear institutions, permitting only deposit and withdrawal transactions, but being proxies for your life, practically speaking. But now, does this require, some heavy technology, expensive technology? I mean, what does it take to make this happen? What's your perspective in terms of where the landscape is today and the ease of implementation?
So I think step one is, of course, the API based ecosystems. But a lot of, when we talk of event driven systems and when we talk of AI, this is where I believe we need to ensure that there is a chain established. Again, I don't want people to just look at chain as a blockchain, but a chain of events that needs to be managed between the parties that we transact with to make it a conversation. And could that be another blockchain opportunity? It probably can. Uh,
Okay.
uh, if there are things that can easily be connected, but it's not a one size fits all type
No,
of a
understood.
solution.
Understood. No,
I
look,
think there
look. I
will be
think,
different
end of the
solutions.
day, right? Technology is a means to an end. If all of that hard work, all that expense, and understanding, somewhat sometimes complicated technology, if that results in banking with a lot of ease and simplicity, I mean that would be a big win. Do you see that as being that is possible? What are you seeing out there? I mean, are there examples that you would like to provide as being the what you call the North Star of a unified banking experience?
So I think, as since we are in this area, Northern Virginia, I mean, we know that Capital One is one of the kind of top tech uh, adoption banks. I
Yeah,
think they have done a phenomenal job. I also believe the banks like Bank of America have some pretty cool, functionalities and features that which customers like.
yeah.
But what could probably ultimate happen? Imagine this. I mean, this is kind of, again, I'm going to go uh, completely out of the box thinking. Imagine if you, or if a consumer has a way to drag and drop four different apps and tell
Wow.
them, guys, be connected. Just
Yeah.
think like that.
Wow.
And that could be, one is my bank, one is my student portal, one is my mortgage company, and the other one is a car company. and then my brokerage. If I can build a framework around dragging and dropping them, and these guys are connected. What the connection means, my reach, and reach means
Absolutely,
my
absolutely.
identity,
Also,
right?
literally, or to put it another way, if you were to make it a bank centric, the bank provides you the capability to drag and drop a bunch of your other transactions into the mix so that they all get orchestrated in that single place. It can be the
Exactly.
container into which all these apps are coming in, and now what you have is a integrated and connected experience.
Exactly. I don't want to wait for a bank to be connected to my mortgage company. They all need to provide adapters where when we say, okay, I want you to connect with him, there is an adapter that goes in. It's almost like an electric plug. If you think that
Absolutely, I
once
get
I
it.
get
I get it.
got an adapter for Europe, it should go,
So literally, it is not the bank in control of your integration. You for putting the power in the hands of the user,
Correct.
so that the user can drive it, right? Saying, "Hey,
Because if you are all going with standard implementations, and when we say open banking, open finance, we are really taking it like multi-step
absolutely,
forward, saying, guys, build it in a way that your consumers can connect and they don't have to open 4 apps or 5 apps to look at different things. You let them connect and you can show your views
got
from
it, got
anywhere.
it." No,
I,
fantastic. This is a fantastic conversation. But one last, of course, observation. There's no question through all of this, security is important. And I believe that, as this interconnectivity through API enablement happens, there is a lot of, thinking around, providing the security layer on top of APIs and so on and so forth. Because at the end of the day, exposing customers to any risk of data exposure is not a good thing. So I'm sure that there's a lot going on there as well. Any
Absolutely.
final thoughts on that?
Yeah. So the final thoughts are, if you were a bank and you were validating customers' identity, now if you have 4 other partners along with you validating that, aren't you more secure? Isn't that what we are also? If you think from a blockchain perspective, if 50% of the partners agree that this party is trustworthy, they will let a transaction go through. Similar type of thinking will be happening. In fact, you are validated by not one but 3 more parties. So
Absolutely. It's,
you are
it's,
only
it's an
getting more secure.
aggregation. It's an aggregation of security that strengthens you more than anything
Exactly.
else,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
No, fantastic. No, this is great. Kaushal, I so thoroughly enjoyed, discussing with you. I mean, we had a great conversation, and what we want the banks to do is to have a similar conversation with their customers, wherein, they identify their needs and then, be under, you know, standing ready to help their customers. So it's a lot of technology behind it. And I'm sure, you're thinking a lot about it. I'm sure, we'll be talking more about this, but thank you so much.